Hey guys, it's Miharu and welcome to episode 24 of SpyroCast. It's been a while, and today I have with me quite a well-known figure in the Spyro and Crash Twitter community, I'd say, WumpaGem. So tell us a bit about yourself.
I'm trying to do my best. So yeah, my real name is Aris. It's Haris, and yeah, I've been a part of the Crash Bandicoot community for a really long time. My journey started in 2013. It started when I was setting some sort of campaign to revive the Crash Bandicoot with a petition. Yeah, the Crash Bandicoot franchise with a petition. Yes, but instead of requesting Activision to revive the franchise, it was about convincing Sony to buy the rights to the franchise from Activision because we felt when you look at history, Sony was much more involved in the development of the game, assisting Naughty Dog than it was Universal, which were the rights owner to Crash and Spyro. So yeah, that was my reasoning at the time. So yeah, the campaign was called Sony Bring Back Crash. So I started the petition in March 2013, and then I set it up a Facebook page, which was in June 2013. So yeah, as the Facebook page kept going and the campaign itself kept going for a solid 6 years until the famous moment of E3 2013. Yeah, I've been posting some. I've been writing some articles, doing some posts. I was talking with some. I've been interacting with a lot of members of the community. Then after the objective was fulfilled when the E3 2016, when they announced the event, the remasters, it didn't have a name at the time. They'd be known as the Insane Trilogy, but at E3 2016, they announced that the remasters of the original trilogy was in development, and they also announced the content for Skylanders, the Imaginators, and when I hear some of the community managers or of the employees at Sony, apparently that revival of Crash, even though nowadays and for the most part it was handled by Activision, was started the whole trend of reviving it. What made it click was Sony pushing Activision to revive it, to do some sort of collaboration. So yeah, I felt our objective was complete, and so I went from some sort of a campaign page for a petition to an outlet that covers the news and delivers discussion on Crash Bandicoot. And it was going to Sony Bring Back Crash and to the WumpaGem. Then in February 2018, when the rumors about the Spyro getting his own remasters was starting to surface. So I was asking some of the people on my Twitter if it was okay if I would cover Spyro as well as Crash, because I'm considering myself more of a Crash fan. So when it comes to my shoulder, I don't have much of a background when it comes to Spyro. I grew up with the first game, but I didn't experience any of the other three from the original trilogy. I didn't experience Ripto's Rage or as it is called in Europe, Gateway to Glamour and Year of the Dragon. So I didn't experience those until 2015 when I downloaded the PS Classic downloadable version on my PS3. So I was introduced to that franchise, to those two games through those, because I only known the first game. And to my utter dismay, Enter the Dragonfly, which was the only two games that I had experienced when it comes to Spyro in my entire childhood. Does Crash Purple count? It's a crossover with Spyro. Does that count?
Oh yeah, the fusion games count. Sure, throw them in there.
Yeah.
Well, that's really interesting. I was actually going to ask about your history with Spyro, but you're sort of going into that already. So if you've got any more to add to that, please.
So yeah, pretty much. I was asking the people if it was okay if I could cover Spyro as well in my outlet, despite my lack of experience compared to many of you. But it was still, yeah, it's fine. Go ahead. So yeah, I went from the Wumpa Zone and to the WumpaGem because it's a combination between the Wumpa Fruit and Gems, which is the main collectible in the Spyro games. And thus, I was involved in the Spyro community, and I've been talking about Spyro since Reignited was announced in April 2018. Well, a little bit before that, but you get my point. Yes, well, that's pretty much my history of how I got in there in the Spyro fan base. When I became majorly involved in the Spyro fan base, that's how I got involved. That's my history.
All right, that's really interesting. I can tell you're a bigger fan of Crash. A lot of people are. I think a lot of people probably got into Spyro through Crash. I think that's a common thing.
Yeah, it's pretty much a common thing because Universal kind of treated the two as sort of mega franchise. And on the outside, like in the outside world, they had a lot in common. Mainly, a lot of people that worked in both franchises in their origins. Mark Cerny was the main producer on both Crash and Spyro. Charles Zimbalist, the legend that is Charles Zimbalist, a great character designer. He designed both. And Naughty Dog and Insomniac, they shared the same office in Universal Studios. So yeah, it was always been a strong tie between the two in the outside world, despite the games that don't have that much in common between. That's kind of why the Fusion games doesn't really work.
Yeah. I mean, I never played them, but I heard they were pretty bad.
I hear Spyro Orange is the worst out of the two, but I think they're both as bad. They're pretty much like a minigames compilation, like minigames at the level of a Tiger Electronic game, which was disguised as some sort of platformer with a big story, when really the platforming part was just the hard world to those minigames. And they did a really good job of how the two worlds were connected, like both games starts and like, boom, Cortex and Ripto suddenly knows each other since a really long time with no explanation how.
I don't know. We get about as much of an explanation for that as we do with Ripto and Nasty Nork surviving and talking about the Spyro problem at the end of Spyro 3.
Well, it seems like Nasty Nork could have survived. When Spyro defeated him, he's gonna fell over. Well, he disappeared, but it's just like... Yeah, he just fell over. He could be alive, but Ripto, he totally...
He fell in lava. How's he alive?
It's really questionable how the lava in Spyro's world work, because not only Spyro survives, but like the source is also in the first boss phase, like the first time you confront the sorceress, it falls in some sort of a purple magma. He also survives. You also see his ends. So it's really questionable how anyone can survive lava and magma in the Spyro world. I wonder. It is weird. Yeah,
it is questionable. However, now that I think about it, like Ripto and the sorceress are both kind of like dinosaur/lizard-like creatures. I don't know, maybe they can survive that kind of condition because of the types of creatures they are? Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe they're immune. They were immune all along. If they did that, that would clear up a lot of things.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So let's see. You mentioned that you grew up with the first Spyro game, and then you didn't get to play 2 and 3 until 2015.
Yeah, that's what I believe. I don't have any memory of ever playing a Spyro 2 and 3. I only remember Spyro 1. I asked my older brother, which was older and should have a better memory of those times, if we ever had Spyro 2 and 3. He didn't recall at all. So yeah, Spyro 1 was kind of my soul experience with Spyro. Enter the Dragonfly, I don't remember as much as Spyro's 1, and for very good reasons.
Yeah. So how about the Legend trilogy? Did you ever play any of that?
I recall owning the games a few times, but I never bought them there. I think because of the copies I had were broken. It was scratches. It was scratched as fuck. Sorry. Am I allowed to curse in this podcast?
Yes, you are.
Oh, good. Yeah, it was really scratched up. I couldn't pass the title screen. I think it was a long time ago. I bought a copy of A New Beginning on PS2 from some sort of a gaming store on secondhand. But maybe it was the disc, or because the disc drive on my PS2 was fucked, because to me it was either one or the other. Like the PS2 I have right now, which is the latest slimline model. It is the most reliable model I ever had, and I'm very happy because I had a really bad history with PS2s. I have a very bad history with PS2 consoles. They always break in a matter of a year or months. They're not reliable consoles. I don't think they have a good reputation on that. So yeah, it was either the disc drive or the disc itself, but I couldn't get past the title screen in A New Beginning, so I took it back to the store, and that was it. Yeah, and I think I also owned the Dawn of the Dragon on PS2, but I didn't. I tested the first level. It was a beat 'em up. It was some sort of big lava monster. I didn't really pay that much attention, but then I took it down, and that was because I was testing the game. If it wasn't in good shape, because at that time I was about to sell the PS2 I had, which many issues with the disc drive, so I could buy another, but my family dissuaded me not for some reasons. So yeah, I think that PS2 I sold, it was the last PS2 I had before I had this one I have right now. So yeah, sadly I don't have any real experience with the Legend of Spyro trilogy, so I don't have a definitive opinion on that. I know I've come across a few who are really big fans of that trilogy, especially Cinder. Oh, it's a great, epic, dark, very deep story. It's definitely different from the lighthearted Spyro we had from Spyro 1 to Heroes Tale, which I would give one credit to The Legend of Spyro, is that it's a real reboot. Like, it completely assumes that it's something completely different from what preceded it, compared to Crash of the Titans, which changed a lot of things, but tried to convince you it's the same continuity. Yeah, it's the same world, it's the same continuity. Like, it picks up like the last events of Twinsanity, for example, or well, I guess no, Titus doesn't really picks up from Twinsanity, because the last time in Twinsanity, Cortex was stuck in Crash Brains, and Titus, it doesn't really mention that. But both Titans and Mind of a Mutant, they do a lot of references to past events in the games that preceded it. Compared to Legend of Spyro, I don't think they ever do any reference to past events. It's completely its own story, it's its own world, it's its own canon. It's completely separate from the Spyro that came before. It completely assumes to be his own thing, which I really respect that.
Yeah, that is really interesting. Yeah, I mean, you're right. In a way, they did a good thing by making it its own thing. I think they're fine as standalone games, especially Dawn of the Dragon. That one was really fun.
Yeah, it's that particular point I can express about the Legend of Spyro. I don't really know if I will like it or if I don't like it, if I ever tried those for real. Like I said, I don't have any definitive opinion on these games.
All right, and that's fine. So, what would you say your favorite Spyro game is?
Well, that's pretty easy. It's Spyro 1. Then it's followed by 2, and then 3, and then A Hero's Tales, and then at the very, very low, Enter the Dragonfly. I tried a bit of one of the GBA games. It was a Season of Ice, but I didn't really like the isometric perspective, especially how zoomed out it is. You couldn't see a lot of the level. It was very disorienting, and it wasn't comfortable to play, and I didn't like it.
Yeah. Though, the weird thing about that is Season of Ice, I used to play that all the time when I was younger, and I didn't really enjoy the isometric thing very much because it was really difficult to make jumps, and it's just like you really couldn't judge distances and everything. But I used to play it a lot. I thought it was okay. The weird thing is I used to play it like on car rides and stuff. I'm like, how did I ever do that with this kind of thing that messes with your eyes? And now the fact that I can't like do anything when I'm in a car, like I can't read, I can't play video games, I can't do anything, like, or else I'll get car sick. It's just, it makes me wonder how I ever did that.
Yeah, I guess you're as strong as you could get. It's motion sickness. Speaking of car grips, when you played the GBA, was it like the original GBA, or was it the GBA SP?
Oh, it was yeah, it was the original one.
With no backlight.
Yeah. Well, I had one of those big lights that you put on the front of it.
Yeah, I heard those were things. I've seen a few videos of that. It's like those sort of lamps where you plugged it into the GBA and sort of should have light the thing. Like it pumps a little battery, but it tilts badly. Somebody I've seen a few videos like Rebel Taxi. Do you know Rebel Taxi?
I do.
Yeah, yes. So yeah, he did a video on Game Boy Advance video about his experience with the original GBA. So it was talking about those lamp fixes and all. It tilted back. He said like, "Fuck it, I'm turning the lights on." Oh my god, it's an like the car crash. It was funny. I love Fan Pizza. He makes great videos.
Game Boy Advance video. Oh my god. I don't think I ever had any of those, but I remember seeing them a lot.
Me neither. I don't know if I recall as a kid if it was a thing as a kid. Maybe I think it's more of a something that's found in North America than it does in Europe. I don't think yes, it was a thing in Europe, but I don't recall that it was ever a thing that I remember as a kid. I don't think it was advertised.
Yeah, that is kind of weird. One of those obscure things. So your favorite game is Spyro 1. What do you like the most about that one?
I think it's really the simplicity. It's just that you, Spyro, you go through the level, you explore, you free the dragons, and you look for every single corner of the level to look for those gems, look up for those thieves. It's really straightforward. It's just a simple collectathon. It's not like you have really had to think deep about getting some collectibles. It's not like Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie. You have to fulfill certain missions to get a star or a Jiggy. It's just you go, you free the dragons who come in your way, you collect the gems, and you're done. You completed the level, yay! And you get the egg if it's there. It's really like a tune your brains out kind of collectathon. It's a very simple, easygoing collectathon. I think that's what I really like about it, and I think because of the worlds, like the worlds in their design and how they look very simple but also whimsical. Like, I think my favorite oddworld at that game, it's Magic Crafters and Dreamweavers. Those are my favorite oddworlds in this game.
Yeah, the Spyro 1 has a very unique style with its textures and even, of course, its music. It's very different from 2 and 3, and that's what I really appreciate about it.
I think when it comes to music, I like Spyro equally as much as Crash. Maybe a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd have to say so too. It's just like, I think Spyro music just has like this really kind of like, it's a very different feel than most video game soundtracks.
It's really pumping. It's energetic. I think the way it's different from video game music is because it kind of follows more the conventions of traditional music, because Stuart Copeland normally is not a video game composer. That's not his job. It's just a composer in general. He's a musician. He was the drummer in the Police. Yes, that's why he comes from him. Because why Spyro has a different feel than other video game music, because video game music are not are composed in a different way than traditional music is. I think that's why made games like Spyro stand out, and I think Crash would make it stand out too, because again, Josh Manchel, though it doesn't have it's not as well known in the music space as Copeland, and he doesn't have that big of a resume. Originally, he's not a video game composer to begin with either. Before he was doing Crash, he was doing the music for independent films. He did themes for cartoons like Clifford. He did a lot of collaborations with Mark Mothersbaugh, which I think it has a similar amount of reputation as Stuart Copeland, because Mark Mothersbaugh, I think, what is the name of the band? What is the name of the band he led?
I'm not actually sure.
Yes, yeah. But I got it. It's Devo. Yeah, it was the leader of the Devo band, and he did a lot of music for a lot of mainstream movies. The one that comes to mind recently, it's for Ragnarok. I've seen a few friends share some music tracks for that film, and yeah, you can feel a bit of Crash in there, even though Mike Mothersbaugh didn't really compose the soundtrack for Crash. Mansell did. I think Mothersbaugh is more the producer of those soundtracks, but you can feel like a Mansell work on Crash have when you look at it this way. You can say that Mansell's work with Crash has that inspiration from Mothersbaugh, who was a general music composer, and I think that's what made the soundtrack for Spyro and Crash stand out from the rest of the video game music, because they follow different conventions, more general conventions.
Yes, I would agree. Okay, so we know your favorite game. What's your least favorite?
I think I already said it.
Oh, Enter the Dragonfly?
Yeah, pretty much. That game, I just cannot. Frame rate is just terrible. Like I will go for the title screen, then the intro just for the laughs, and then I'm dropped in the first overworld, and I notice when I move around how the frame rate, it chugs real bad, and I instantly tunes it. I cannot play that game to the frame rate. I cannot stand the frame rate in that game. It just tunes. I just tune out. I heard that if you emulate the game on Dolphin, if you emulate the GameCube version on Dolphin, and you overclock the processing part of the emulator, you can play it at a stable 60 FPS. But I don't know if my laptop is powerful enough to handle that. Yeah, even without the frame rate, it generally has a lot less content than any of the Spyro games that have preceded it. I don't think that the scale of the levels themselves, you can really argue that it makes the fact that it has a fewer amount of levels makes it okay, because they're a lot larger or something, because levels are from what I've seen from a lot of reviews, they look empty. They look empty, like a lot of wasted space. It's like they originally designed them to be small. It's like they designed them to be. It's like those levels were originally smaller, but then when they couldn't make any more levels that they could, like they stretched them out. They enlarged the z-axis of, if that's how you say it. If that's how it's done. Yeah, it feels like it. I don't know if it actually did. I kind of doubt, because something I did as the WumpaGem. I did two interviews. I did a series of interviews when I talked to two people. It was Warren Davis, if that's his name, and Joe Godsell. Worked at Chex and Equinox on Enter the Dragonfly. I did an interview with them, and Joel Godsell's side, it was really interesting. I heard it was really different from like when you hear him, it seems like him and the team was really passionate about doing this project, Enter the Dragonflight, but something in there went horribly wrong, and that's all. We have the game we have now. And the second thing about Joe Goldstein was he left halfway through the project. He's not credited. It's not credited. Yeah, sorry, I can. Yeah, English is not exactly my native language. I tried the best I can. I pretend. I feel like I speak English. I feel like I feel I'm very fluent in English, but sometimes there are few words. Well, no, it's not an issue that I'm bad at English. I'm just bad at speaking.
I don't know. I can understand everything you're saying. I think your English is perfect.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, like the reason why we know now that Joel Gotza was involved in the development of Spyro Enter the Dragonfly, it's thanks to Warren Davis, who told me he was the lead designer originally, because Joel Gotza, he wasn't credited in the final game. He isn't credited. And Joel Gotza, he has a really good resume. He did the Toy Story 2 on PS1. He did the SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom on PS2, and currently he works in Insomniac. Yeah, he's currently working at Insomniac since 2007 with the future games of Ratchet and Clank, like the Ratchet and Clank future games, and his most recent work was on Spider-Man. By the way, I just got that game a few weeks ago, and it is banging. I love that game.
Oh yeah? Yeah, I heard it was really good. I haven't played it yet, though.
Yeah, it's a really great game. It feels really good to be Spider-Man, to swing it from place to place. It's one of those... I think it's the only game in a long, long time when I was compelled to do the side missions. It was so much fun. And the thing is, I'm not that much a fan of Spider-Man. I know Spider-Man from Surface. I don't read any of the comics. I'm mostly familiar with the movies. But even as a casual Spider-Man fan, it's a real joy to go through that game.
Awesome. Well, I'll have to pick it up sometime because it sounds really fun. On to a new segment of the show, since now Reignited has been out. It's been out for quite a while now. So now we're gonna do original versus Reignited. So you have a favorite from the original. Do you have a different favorite from Reignited?
You mean if I have a favorite level from the original, but then I have a different favorite level from Reignited?
Or a favorite game?
Ah, yeah. Yes, Spyro 1 again. Because, yeah, the thing with Reignited, which could also be told with Crash Insane, is that the first game is the most polished of the package, because it's the first one they started off with and put a lot of detail, a lot of polish that you can see through Spyro 1 and Crash 1. And then you have the third game, which is the most rushed. Yeah, but it doesn't have that much polish. It has fewer problems. Some of the graphics doesn't look as good as the overall look of the first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would also agree that 1 is the best of the Reignited ones.
Yeah, I think the main thing that stands out from the whole package of Reignited in the first game is the original designs of the dragons of it. It's no longer like the same models reused from other points from a level, etc., with a different color. They all have an individual look, they have an individual voice, an individual hint of personality, because you can get as much personality as you can get from the looks and the few lines of dialogue they get.
Yeah. A list of how it goes of, like, the original, my favorites are 3, 2, 1, and then Reignited, my favorites are 1, 2, 3.
It's a complete reversal.
Yes.
Yeah, but one thing I think, because Reignited and Insane are largely they're considered as remasters, even though they're technically remakes, because they keep the same gameplay structure and level design the exact same from their original. They don't deviate that. Like, the most that it deviates for both remasters is the visuals and the sound. The visuals and the sound.
Yes.
and a bit of the physics because they had to do it from scratch as best as they can. But level design wise and gameplay wise, they largely the same, except for Reignited for one part is the Year of the Dragon with a completely revised Agent 9 controls and physics and its control scheme, and it's a million times better.
Yes.
I think that from the whole trilogy, Year of the Dragon is my least favorite because I think it's because of the side characters you can play as, plus Spyro. I don't have problems with Sheila, Thunderbird. Play perfectly fine. I have fun with those characters. Bentley's a bit complicated, it's a bit heavy, but Agent Line was a nightmare of it. Like the lateral movement, it was very clunky to control, but it reignited. It actually feels fun to play. It's like dual analog controls. It's very quick. It's very smooth. It's completely different. It's the one part of Reignited of both remasters. It's the only part where they majorly deviate, like they majorly change the gameplay, and it's for the better. For the better.
Yeah, they definitely did better in some aspects of 3, even though it was very rushed, and for that reason, it is not my favorite as the original is, but in some aspects they changed it for the better, like for Agent 9's controls, and I think they improved Sergeant Bird's controls a little bit too, and that was good.
I think they both control similarly. I think, Sergeant Bird is a bit smoother to control, but they're largely in concept they're the same in their control scheme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of the Year of the Dragon Reignited False, I hear a lot of people that have a lot of problems with the Super Bonus Round, which is the final part of the game after you defeat the sorceress and you nearly complete the entire game, get all the gems, the eggs, etc. I hear there's a lot of glitches occurring, especially in the race when it falls down or it gets stuck and something like that. But I don't think from my personal experience it occurred any glitch in that part or in the overall game for that matter. I did notice some design oversights, like when you can see that the game is a bit rushed. I put it very kindly, but I do think it's just a bit rushed, but different people may have a different opinion on that. Yeah, it's like design oversights, like the part in Spooky Swamps, it was the challenge with Sheila. Like the mushroom, you have part when you crush the mushrooms and you break all the rocks so you can help the little guys.
The fireflies?
Yeah, the fireflies. I was about... close. What I had in my mind, it was flies, but I didn't know why. I almost said the dragonflies, even though it's not the same thing. So yeah, it's like the level, you break the rocks and crush the mushrooms to guide the fireflies through. But when you fail the challenge in the original, everything resets. But it reignited that the rocks you smashed, they don't respawn back up when you fail, so it's a lot easier.
Yes, it is a lot easier. I noticed that immediately, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, the thing I did, before I started the challenge, I smashed all the rocks in the area, and then I started the challenge, so I could only focus on the mushrooms.
Yes, that's exactly what I do every time.
Yeah, so I think they missed that one night. It was for Bob.
That is great. And about the Yeti race in the Super Bonus Round, well, I haven't gotten there yet because I haven't beat the game yet because the challenges are just bullshit. But I mean,
Eddie Race, you're referring to the Super Bonus Rounds, the race with the Yetis?
Yeah, I haven't gotten there yet, but definitely the races specifically, I know that they can either work in your favor or they can work against you, because when I was doing the Rhinoc race in Lost Fleet, it really screwed me over, like, about 10 times I don't know what was going on. For some reason, I couldn't get the jumping down, and it was really glitching me out and throwing me off the edge for no reason every time I tried to do a front flip. And
yeah, that's the kind of thing I've been hearing about the super bonus round. Yeah, me personally, I think I gone through this okay. I must be a really lucky guy. I also hear of people that coming across a lot of glitches and insane, but I never had any bad experience about that. And when it comes to both insane and reignited, I completed the whole package through and through. I got all the trophies on the PlayStation Network. I had all platinum.
Nice.
Platinum. So I got through every single corner of those games, and I didn't recall any technical problem. I didn't I really ever come across a technical problem, and I don't recall any in insane, and I don't recall that major. At least I haven't occurred any major technical issue with Reignited. It's just design oversights the Mushroom Challenge and Spooky Swamp. It's just that it's one of the main things that stood out for me in terms of that.
Mm-hmm. However, the funny thing is, the second part of that race where you have to race against Hunter, I actually got that first try, I think, because Hunter just decided to glitch out and not appear on the racetrack anymore. So I beat him by default.
He completely disappeared?
Yep, he completely disappeared.
Hunter, where are you?
And I was like, oh, well, I guess I won because he just, disappeared and glitched out. But I thought I was gonna lose because at one point I got just stuck on the wall. I went too close to a wall, and the game just decided to stick me in the wall.
But have you seen Hunter completely disappear? Like it was in your field of vision, but it was whoop, or just you didn't notice that he wasn't there. You just didn't notice he wasn't there.
Well, the thing is, he was right on my tail, and then I was almost at the end, and I got stuck in the wall, and I was like, oh, great, I'm gonna lose this because I got stuck. And then, I noticed that he wasn't coming up, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? And then I finally broke free of the wall, and I passed the finish line, and I won, and Hunter just never came by, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess he's just gone.
Maybe he fell.
Yeah.
He fell down. Hunter is fucking dead.
I can't believe Hunter's fucking dead.
Don't worry, my friends. He's gone to a better world.
He's gone back to his own world, where still nobody likes him.
Because he's a fucking loser.
What you say? He just falls.
He just fell down.
Alright, well, I think I'm gonna end it off here. Thank you so much, WumpaGem, for being on the show.
Well, thank you too. It was a great pleasure to be on this podcast. That's the first time I do a podcast for the very first time, and it was a really pleasing experience. So, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I'm so glad you liked it, and I will have you on again in the future, just like a lot of guests, and I'm getting around to that. I still have applicants to review who haven't been on the show before, so I'm trying to get to all of that first. But anyway, yes, thank you so much, and thank you, all of you out there, for listening, and I will see you on the next SpyroCast. Until then, this is me, Haru, signing off.